Hello, Skyfarers. This is the Aethercast. I'm doing the intro today. I'm Alexander Kern, and joining me today is the Archnaut Admiral Lee Edwards.
Hi.
And Maximus Prime, the deckhand.
Hello.
And today we have been nominated by Luke Stone from Cinderfall Gaming to do the I am a Wargamer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So we're gonna do that. Just run through some questions of like how we started into the hobby and how we started into YouTube and any advice we can give to YouTubers, up and coming hobbyists or YouTubers.
Yeah. Because we're really professional.
Yeah, we're very professional. Very successful, honestly. It's just drowning in the YouTube ad revenue right now. So first question, I guess, or do we just want to go through what we did and what we've done hobby wise beforehand?
Yeah.
Lee, have you been up to anything?
A little. I don't know if you can see. I've been playing around. There's the middle of the screen. We're trying to make my tokens for Aether Gold. So I've been experimenting with blue stuff and milliput to try and make like a porthole thing with rivets. And just generally experimenting with that. But it's mixed results. I've got like 50 of where is the camera? 50 of these things, and they've actually all got like a massive recess underneath, which I didn't know they were going to have. So I might buy something different now and not use them at all. But,
yeah, I mean it's better than the standard tokens you get in the box.
Yeah, hopefully.
I've got to find something gold for them.
Yeah.
Max, you been up to anything?
Yes, I've been desperately trying to figure out what list I want to take to the German Tabletop Championship in October, because I need to send in the list in a week from now. I have absolutely no idea what to play, so I'm trying to play different lists and testing. And apart from that, painting up Thunderers, because I was also testing the 20-man cron, deploy, and delete list with a little change in it. And today I got a hand on some Ether Wings. Maybe try those as a little screen. But generally, yeah, we're a bit busy. What about you?
Nothing official. Nothing is in official playing in tournaments. There's nothing going on down here, I think, for until next year. So I'm just trying out fun lists, trying out playing a bit of Daughters of Cain, playing a bit of Caradrons. Yeah, still trying out some ideas, just ideas we've gotten from here, Tubman's list, and it's going well. It's going pretty well. So
should we do this thing, or
first question?
Talk about some KO more.
Let's talk about KO.
Well, we can always go on a tangent. You know, we're good at that.
What's your dilemma on your list, Max?
Pardon me?
What's your dilemma? Because there's 3 lists that you're deciding between.
I don't know, because they all sound fun and interesting, but then either it's too much on the Thunderers, then I don't know, it's all in one boat. Either it's just 10 Thunderers, then I'm not sure if to do enough damage. there's no Thunderers and 2 boats or 3 boats, so it's different. It's difficult. We have got all these points reductions, and still I feel there's not enough points to fit in everything I want in a list. But I guess this is just complaining on a high level. Maybe the safe way is to just play something that I've played before at the tournament, because this is my first 5-game 2-dayer, to just be safe and don't do stupid mistakes, because I don't know the list, and just play something I'm familiar with.
Yeah, do something you know how to play. What list do you usually use?
I swapped around, but the last one was 2 10s Arcanauts, the Iron Sky Command with 2x6 Endrinriggers, an Ironclad, of course, Dirigible Suit, Chemist with the Vortex, Navigator, and a Gun Hauler, because I like to have 2 boats to have just the option to split my army and to offer 2 different threats to my enemy, so that he needs to decide go left, go right, be in the backfield, go forward. The Arcanauts are basically there to screen and to sit on objectives. Some deployments, I feel like 10 are not enough to cover everything, especially if you need to deploy on the long side and you don't have a corner, which is, I think, only 1 or 2 battle plans. But it's nice to have that safety, and they do a good job, and that's what they're there for in my army. Maybe not go with the Vortex. I don't know. People now expect it and they know what's happening, so
Switch it up.
It's kind of a one-trick pony. It's fun. It's worth it for the points. It works. I don't know.
What you're saying is we need to find the next endless spell now.
Yeah, playing around with the Realmscore Rupture, because from what I'm reading, it's great, because it basically, what the Vortex does, it reduces the movement because it forbids running and flying. So that's if there's a flying unit. If you're playing against someone who doesn't have a flying unit, it doesn't work as well. But the Rupture just automatically halves the movement characteristic. So your Archaeon, he's half moved. Your Stonehorns, your Orcs, whatever, the pigs, whatever, running towards you, which you want to keep away as long as possible from your shooting army. That's a good thing, but it seems a bit fiddly how you set it up, because it can only move lengthwise, and you need to go over the battle line and touch it. So it's like also one thing. I don't know. I'll have to try it out. I have it here somewhere because I bought those spells to do some conversions. It'd be an easy thing to get ready before the tournament.
I used that thing at CanCon. It was all right. It's really good when you kind of you deploy a bit forward, so not entirely in the corner, to kind of bait them into attacking you. So you come with your big unit, they try to hit through your screen, then you Realmscourge Rupture, and then you teleport over to the other side of the board, leaving their heavy hitting unit kind of stuck for a turn or 2.
Yeah, that's the idea, to slow down one half and then shoot off the other half of the enemy. So it takes longer for them to get to you. They can't apply all their output at once, where we can, because we just teleport.
Yeah. No, it didn't work every time, but it worked sometimes.
Yeah. And it's 20 points less, so maybe gives you a bit of wiggle room. Stick in some Ether Wings. I don't know.
Or just get Triumph.
Yeah. That's also what I'm aiming to be around 1980, 1970 points, because having a Triumph is just so powerful in KO, because you can double down on the gold and the
and you can get reroll to hit and to wound.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. So, should we answer some questions? That's, I think, what the viewers are here for.
There aren't any. There's no viewers at the moment.
No, yes. Oh, they will follow once they hear these answers. So, Lee, what about you? How did you get into wargaming?
The origin story of Lee.
Yes, let's hear it.
I'm sure we might have actually done this before at some point. Me and Quan, I think, have done it. But this is my second bout into wargaming, which is probably the same for most people, because most people probably get into it as a kid. don't know. Do we talk about the first time or the second time?
Both.
Or both? Both.
Both. Both is good.
I don't know how I got into it the first time. I think I definitely remember a situation in school where we had like an end of year or an end of term thing where you could bring in toys in like middle school, and someone brought in some like Dark Elder 40k models. And I was like, what is this? This is pretty cool. And they're explaining what it was. And then, yeah, it was definitely around that sort of age that I got into it.
How does a kid explain Dark Eldar? Like, hey, these are my sadistic murder elves who sold their souls and now need to torture people for all of eternity to even stay alive. Like,
I didn't even know
yay!
that.
It was just, no, it was like, oh yeah, their spaceships are pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So,
I think they were part of some start box with Space Marines. Because I
third
used to have
edition.
some laying around. I never know how I got hands on Dark Elder.
yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah, I got into it and didn't know what I was doing at all.
And what was your army or your theme that you went after?
I had Space Marines because that's what you do, and I got like a set. It was like a big box with. All I remember is it had like this red measuring stick in it.
Yes, I still have those, and now they're all like.
Oh,
yeah.
From hitting each other all the time.
Yeah,
no,
I
just
remember
from
like
the plastic gets old and it just curves.
Oh, we had so many just whack people with them.
Yeah. You start off with like, I don't know if you have it in other countries, but in British primary schools, you get taught to play the recorder.
Yes.
That has like a little cleaning stick
Yes.
that you poke in it, and that gets used as swords as well. So you start off in primary school, you have your recorder stick and you hit people with that, and then in middle school you move on to your measuring stick. So you get a new plastic stick to hit people with, which is instead of being black and boring, bright red and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. I painted them all like black, and I just remember one occasion I was with one of my mates, was around my house, my parents were out, and we're painting, and we were doing something. I think I'd glued like a motorbike onto the base already, and I was trying to cut it off so I could make it do a wheelie, because that's what you do when you're like 10 or whatever.
Awesome.
And I was using like a pen knife with like a serrated blade. It's not a hobby knife at all. And I just completely sliced my thumb open. That was fun.
Oh no.
Luckily, the parents arrived home shortly after it happened. That was quite lucky. Yeah, and I got like loads of polystyrene to try and make a table to play on. And then when I did get into Warhammer the second time around, later on, and I started making a table, and I actually got my dad to help me with making the table. I was like, oh, not this again. Because I think he's still got that. I think he's still got that polystyrene somewhere from the first time around.
I remember first attempts at making terrain were just, they were a thing.
Yeah, like the rolls, the cardboard rolls from toilet paper, the leftovers, and yeah, polystyrene from boxing material, but the rough stuff that was everywhere, but not where you wanted it.
Yeah,
all these little white pieces and
little balls of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then this the second time around was purely again because of friends were getting into it, and they were like in a group chat sending pictures of like one of the starter sets, saying that they were going to get half each or something, and I was like, God, that's like £50. That's ridiculous for some plastic models. Little did I know. But I don't know. I mean,
that's ridiculous. I need to get myself some of that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to at first. I was very dubious because I was I don't know. But if it's one of these things, if you get exposed to things enough, it starts to play in your mind. You start you look at things in more detail as opposed to just dismissing them at first. And I looked at some of the models, and I thought, I'll just go and look in the shop just to see what there is. And then I saw KO. I thought, those guys have got guns. They've got guns, and they're going to be using swords. And I've got guns if I buy them. And they have swords, so I'll do that. That'd be fun. Little did I know how unpopular shooting would be in Age of Sigmar, because people don't like it when they've got swords and you've got guns.
No, they don't. Start complaining it's not user interactive or one-sided or whatever.
Is that a fun hobby? We're not here for the fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw the KO and I saw Brock. And when I was a kid, I never had like one of those. I had like some tanks. I had like a Lehman Russ and a Razorback and some other things. But I remember one of my mates had like the Chaos Dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember one of the times we played, he had his Chaos Dreadnought and I had like some Space Marines all circled around it and it just killed them all. And it really annoyed me that I didn't have the cool big thing. So I thought, right, I'm going to get, the cool thing of that army, which is Brock. Because I was like, I'm not buying the ship as my first purchase. Because the ships are
the cool thing.
So I
Surely
thought,
it's the Ironclad.
Well, yeah, but I didn't want to spend that much money because at that time I was cheapest of the hobby and stuff. I was like, well, he's cheap. He's not actually that expensive. He does fly, and he's got mustache guns. So, yeah, mustache guns. You know what you're gonna need, and a top hat.
Mm-hmm.
So I went for that, and some riggers, and then got very annoyed by trying to glue Brock to the light stand.
Oh yeah.
Because I tried to use plastic glue, that doesn't work. Doesn't work because it's a different type of plastic. Or it does, I think, if you wait long enough.
It's some kind of it's a weird hard plastic kind of thing.
Acrylic. But yeah, you would use super glue. Or like that's what I did in the end. I ended up using a nail. I just went through the base. So then, and then because I have one of these sorts of personalities where once I start getting involved in something, I just get.
You're either not in it or 120% in it.
Yeah, 120%. That's it. That's my life now. It just become that. And then next thing, I don't know, sometime later on, I was ended up doing it.
Yeah. We can go into the beginnings of Aethercast later.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll skip back to one of you two. Who wants to go next?
Alex, how did you fall into this trap? That is Warhammer.
All right. Well, I just as I started this thing when I was like 11. Basically, went one day, visited a Games Workshop and saw this like Mines of Moria setup they had there. They had this kind of pillar
yes
built up where they had the whole Mines of Moria kind of going around the side with steps, and the whole thing looked like basically the entire Mines of Moria from the movie, with the Lord of the Rings starter set on the top, and the bottom had a bridge and a Balrog and like the crumbling stairs, and so I thought that was what.
No, go on.
So I thought that was super cool, and I pestered my parents to get me one of those Lord of the Rings starter sets. So yeah, first thing I got on 11th birthday, Mines of Moria starter set, Fellowship of the Ring, couple goblins, cave troll, and terrain too. Yeah. So I basically just got stuck in from there. So like at the start, I was playing with my dad, trying to find Lord of the Rings players, like going to games workshops, trying to find people to play with. No one really played Lord of the Rings where I in Australia or around that time anymore. I think it never got that popular, did it? Or it died off pretty quick after the movies had finished.
I just know like 2 or 3 people who do it.
Yeah. So didn't have a lot of luck there, but everyone seemed to be playing the space the game with the Space Marines and the guns. So I got that starter set eventually. I think that I played. No, I think the orcs were the ones I used out of the starter set the most, but I pretty much immediately got onto, well, my dad got onto eBay, looking at one of these armies, and I got into Necrons. That's basically my first big army that I started getting, and I painted them terribly with like bright silver with one ochre orange arm. Don't know why, but that was what made them different. That was what made them special. They had an orange arm.
Is that where they got the idea for Star Wars with C-3PO's red arm? They stole it from you. You should get some royalties there.
Claiming something. No, so yeah, and then yeah, I just stuck with Necrons for the longest time. So Necrons was my thing for years. So I was like the you could get lots of little armies, but I'd prefer just having, instead of having lots of medium or normal sized armies, you just go all in and just keep going with one big army that just slowly grows. So I think fantasy I started. I eventually started it, but that was pretty late along the track. So it was only like a couple years before fantasy just rebooted. Started Tomb Kings. They were cool. I liked the Egyptian look. You had chariots and you had sphinxes and you had a weird kind of magic system that was different from everyone else's magic system. They weren't great, but yeah, they were fun. Then fantasy rebooted, and I think I sold my Tomb Kings pretty much because I didn't like how AOS was going. This new AOS thing and the round bases and the funky rules. So I kind of sold my Tomb Kings, played a bit with some demons, and then kind of left it at that. Focused more on 40k until Cloud Overlords came along, and I was really like the airships. Really like the airships. Could never justify getting them though, because they did cost, like as Lee says, they'd cost a lot. Until I found a guy on Facebook selling a whole bunch of them for relatively cheap.
Without heads.
Well, maybe missing some heads, missing just a couple heads. It's fine.
I've heard a rumor. Yes.
Turns out when he says missing a couple heads, what he meant was Brock had his head, and no one else did. So I just kind of had to get top hat, the best, and the mustache guns, very important. So I kind of scrounged around my bits box looking for any. I put a Space Marine head on it or a Guardsman head, and eventually found one of those, the Mechanicum, the Scutari, not the hooded ones, the other ones, the diving bell helmet ones. That seemed to work pretty well. So asked all my friends, asked friends of friends, just anyone who came in the store, if they had any spare Mechanicum TEDs from all the Skitarii ranges, and just collected bags of these things. Started gluing them on all the little Arcanauts, and it works out.
Cool.
So do you have like an endless source of heads now, or are you getting low on heads? Like if you build more units, then you're like, oh, I can't get any more heads.
No, I've the 120 Arcanauts kind of killed all my head collection. So now when I get new things, I kind of sacrifice the Arcanauts to build more Endenriggers. For the greater good. We don't need 120 Arcanauts, but we do need 18 Endenriggers.
One could argue, yes.
I'll find some more eventually. There's probably a 3D printing place or somewhere that you can get lots of Mechanicum heads for cheap.
Probably. You can probably get one big size.
Yeah.
It depends if they come with spares or not.
So Alex,
Yeah.
so you
Max.
stayed with the hobby from 11 years old until today?
Yeah. Same with Lee. When you get into something, when I get into something, I'm in it 100%. So that never stopped.
So no girls, cars, all the other distractions.
You can have girls and cars on the side, but you know, your one true love.
Yeah, okay.
I will offer some
No.
free advice here. Don't say that to her. Don't tell her she's on the side to Warhammer. That will not go well.
Nope.
The Warhammer's on the side.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
way around. At least that's what you say.
No, it's true, but it just meant it's stockpiled over the years. Now it looks like that. So,
wow.
Cool.
Did I waste my life? Probably, but at least I have a lot of plastic now. So
yeah. As long as most of it's painted and it's not all just grey model.
Mm.
Yes.
Definitely.
Right.
Max, what about you?
Oh, it's very similar. Let me take you back to the year January 2000. On my 10th birthday, now you know how old I am, a very good friend of mine, my best friend at the time, gifted me what was it, the Space Marine start painting set. It had 5 paints, a paintbrush, and I think 3 Space Marines. And in addition, this model. I found it. My first ever painted, it was the Space Marine trike. You can see I used all the 5 colors that came with it. Straight onto the metal and plastic. One thick layer. It's beautiful.
Love it.
And I don't know. And he was painting some. And I know friends in school, they had fantasy. They had dwarves, 2 brothers. Their mom is from Scotland, so probably they had the influence from there somehow to know Warhammer. Because I grew up in Italy, and other friends then joined in and also had Warhammer. It was a bunch of people, but I was the only one with like 40k stuff, and they all had fantasy. So I don't know. Eventually, I collected an entire Space Ultramarines army. Must have been like 8,000 points. I don't know, because I never learned the rules really. I read the rules, but I had no one to play with. I collected an entire army, painted it straight onto the plastic, no primer, nothing. And I just bought boxes or got boxes like from my pocket money, saved it up for months and months to then buy that. At the time, yeah, it was already euros, €40 back of 10 Space Marines. I don't even know what they were called, but I had basically everything, all the tanks, everything. And my dad supported me. We started building a battlefield even, and we had no idea how big it should be. We just went with something that looked cool, and this was the right size. And in our basement, we had a huge thing and all this styrofoam bunkers and stuff. But I never actually got around to play with it, and that bothered me a bit. And then because all my friends were playing fantasy, I said, "Oh yeah, let's go into fantasy." And I like to play dwarves, but those two brothers, they already had a huge dwarf army. So I said, and the other one had high elf, and one had orcs and goblins. So I said, okay, let's do wood elves because they look cool, bows and sneaky elves. And so I started collecting those, and those were still like 4th edition models at the time. A lot of metal dryads and war dances, and I painted those, and they looked a bit better. They already had grass on goblin green bases, not just pure goblin green bases. And
I love those
that
old
must have
Goblin Green
been maybe 12, 13 years old now. So I had the dragon and everything. And this army I just recently sold last week to a guy in Sweden who was looking exactly for these models from that age. So I'm happy to have moved them on. And already we still didn't know the rules, like how it worked. We had an idea. Okay, you need to be ranks and like 20 in a square, and you move them around, and then they shoot, and there's some magic happening. But we just played on the living room floor, with around books and hills and stuff. And very soon after I completed the army, the new wood elves came out, the new plastic kits, which are still today, I believe, part of the Cities of Sigmar. Some of those models.
Yeah, the Wanderers.
The Wanderers, exactly, and all those guys, and they look awesome. But I said, well, I already have an army. Let's shelve it. Let's not expand it because it doesn't look good together. The next project was then Dark Elf. And that was already had basing on the bases now, like gravel and some highlights and some gloss varnish on the armor. So it was improving. You could see some improvement, but still not really playing with the army. Just more collecting, sitting in hours and hours in the basement. I think my parents were happy I was not doing drugs or doing other stuff. I was just sitting there on my own. Painting in silence because there was no YouTube. I didn't listen to music. I just sat there in silence all weekends, all nights, painting
Just
furiously.
laser focus.
Exactly. Still no primer. I think at the time. And then
Washes?
Yes, chestnut ink, which was super glossy. Just
Yeah,
for skulls and bones and stuff. And that army was a good army. It was a good size. I think it was two. I already knew that you had to build around 2,000 points. I was doing some lists that they all fit, but it was more what do I like? What models do inspire me to collect? So I wanted some archers. I wanted some crossbows, some bolt throwers. What an army needs, a bit of everything. And then when I really want to get into it, so okay, let's do something that was strong, because I know at the time Chaos Knights, they were the shit. They just, when they went in, they destroyed everything. So I said, oh, let's do a Chaos army, and I want to do some Beasts of Chaos and some Chaos Knights, a mixed Chaos force, and I started buying stuff and painting, and I got the book, and then I just dropped out of the hobby. Because my friends, they had moved somewhere else, and then it was the age you were 15, maybe 16. So other interests started rising, motorcycles and girls and my wife. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
So everything just sat in my parents' house in a display board, like a whole IKEA with 5 levels. Top down, the Ultramarines, which were the ugliest ones, on the highest up, the little Chaos force. And also Blood Bowl. I got into Blood Bowl and painted like a whole orc team on other teams. But I even built a stadium, I think, of styrofoam and everything. But I never really played it. And I tried to get my friends to play it, but they were just not interested, I think. So that was shelved. Other interested. interests got up, and then one day, this is maybe 10 years, 15 years later, I got back home to my parents and I saw all this stuff and all the battlefields and paints and plastic kits and basing material. I said, okay, let's clear this out. And I threw away all the boards and the buildings and all the terrain. And we just kept the models because my mom was like, oh, you paint so many hours on this, let's just keep them here. So I said, I had moved to Munich then. I said, there's a Games Workshop in Munich. Oh, let's see if I can sell these. Maybe people want these. I had no idea that fantasy didn't exist anymore. So I went into the local Games Workshop here and asked, well, I have this fantasy army. I know you're selling models, but maybe if someone's interested in having this. And I said, oh, yeah, but fantasy doesn't exist anymore. This is now January 2019, so 1.5 years ago. I said, and they said, well, we have a WhatsApp group for like the local scene. Maybe you can post it there. Someone's interesting. People still play fantasy. And I posted it, and a guy came around, and he's bought my entire Dark Elf army for, I think, 130 euros. Probably was too cheap, but I was just happy. Someone wants it. Yeah, take it. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
And when I was in the shop, I like looked at these models and the new kits, and I said, I like this. So I went home. At that time, my fiance, I asked her, well, I would like to get back into this hobby and paint. And I thought she would say like, hey, you're crazy. I'm not going to have toys in the house and stuff like this. And she said, well, if you want to do it, do it. It's your hobby. Because I used to play a lot of video games, like with chatting with people and all night and doing the Elder Scrolls Online and all that stuff. But it was time consuming. You're just sitting on your ass on the couch playing video games. It's not very active. So I said, well, maybe this is a good hobby for me.
Because we do so much exercise, just getting up,
we
walking
roll
around
dice.
the table.
Yes, we roll dice. We measure. We do it all. We see face to face people. We just don't talk to strangers on the headset.
And now you're here talking to strangers on the headset.
But I see faces. So I thought, yeah, okay, let's do this. And now I want to do dwarves because I couldn't do dwarves in the past. So let's do where are the dwarves? Show me the dwarves. I was like, well, the whole fantasy doesn't exist. These are the new dwarves, and they were like naked guys with orange hair, which were the Slayers, obviously, but like a whole army of Slayers. Okay, cool. But they're huge. They're big dwarves. And then there's these steampunk, space marine shooting guys. Like, what is this? Abomination? No, never. No, these are horrible. These things. What is this? This has nothing to do with fantasy dwarf. So like, no, these are horrible. It's out of the picture. And well, yeah, you can still play Dispossessed. At the time, Cities of Sigmar didn't exist. I said, yeah, cool, let's do it. Okay, Dispossessed. Do you have any? No, you need to order them online. They don't have anything in the stores. Okay, I got hammers and iron breakers and rune lords and whatnot. I started painting. I went to on Fridays they had like a hobby evening in the Games Workshop. I went there to meet people and to paint and then learn how to play the game, which was good because Age of Sigmar is so much easier than fantasy to catch up and learn. I did some games and I figured out that I kept losing because Dispossessed were just shit. They had no book. They had some rules. You could use the Tempest Eye from the Firestorm campaign and do a little cheeky thing, and it could work. But I said, "Oh, this is horrible." And then in May last year, Fire Slayers came out. I said, "Okay, I want some dwarves that I can win with, and maybe I can ally these. Let's jump on the Fire Slayers train." And that's when I got into more like serious Warhammer and competitive, and that was my main army until start of this year. And I went to a tournament with this army and I did well and it was fun and I kept winning because they were just overpowered because they ran into you and didn't harm you, just slashed you up. Well, it was expensive, but now you have all the money that you did not have as the same as you were a child. You can spend it all on plastic and on paints and on brushes and the whole thing. Then Cities of Sigmar came out, the book. I was like, oh, cool. Now I got to play these even better. Fantastic. And play both, mix them up a little bit. And there is Tempest Eye, like, oh, for my Cities of Sigmar, maybe I'll take some KO. Just for my Cities of Sigmar. And I got a gun hauler and I think 6 engine riggers. Started painting the gun hauler, and then in January, the new book dropped. I looked at the book and said, Oh well, I might as well just go all 3 dwarf armies now, and that
Might
was
as
my
well
journey
commit my
since
whole
then.
life to it.
That's all. That's my army. It's all dwarven. Everything has to look dwarfish. My Hurricanums, they're all dwarfs. My Celestin Prime is a dwarf. Yeah, and I've enjoyed the army a lot. I joined the WhatsApp chat, and during lockdown we had great discussions, and that's where I really went into competitive wargaming. I think I organized a tournament this summer. I'm doing tournaments now the next 4 weekends in a row, I think. So, yeah, I love
Wow.
it. It's great. I'm pretty new to the whole thing, but it seems to work out. I think KO is a good army to have at the moment, and it's fun. And I can say, well, I only play dwarfs army, so I'm not a meta chaser. I just had it. It's dwarfs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm also very interested in Barrack Fring, because I just want all my dwarfs in one army. I need to figure it out.
Also hell cannon.
That thing. No, we don't talk about those dwarfs.
Whoa. Those
We
are
don't.
dwarves.
No, we don't talk about those.
I'll use them. It's
Yeah,
fluffy.
that's how I ended. That's the short version of how I ended up here. Yeah, and now I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
It all started with a little 5-colored strike, and now I'm on YouTube 20 years later.
With the same track.
Nice. Do you still paint onto the bare plastic?
Mostly not. If I missed a spot on some terrain piece or some skulls, yeah, just go straight on. Who cares? Like if it's a little piece that you missed, just go straight on the plastic. Like if I didn't base my shields for my iron breakers, like I'm not going back to base this spray paint this one shield that I forgot. Just go on it with a brush. And that's it.
Before we move on, I do have a quick question with how you painted up your different, like your dispossessed, your fire sizes and KO. Have you matched them? Or
I tried to match the bases. So the first bases for my dispossessed, I had no idea, so I just got the Astrogranite. What's it called? Texture paint Astrogranite. This one, the gray one. And I put that on, and I shaded it with Null Oil and dry brushed it with Dawnstone. And so because they're walking around in the gravel, in the mountains, in the mines, whatever. And the rim of my base is Steel Legion drab. So that, and I put some tufts on the GW tufts, which are all like monocolor, not very pretty. And then I got to the Fire Slayers. I want to do something with basing. So I started. I don't have any here, unfortunately, but I got a green stuff roller and some super sculpt, like this texture material that you can bake in the oven. And I did like little tiles of broken floor, and I stuck that onto it, and it looked really cool. So if they stand next to each other, you can still see it's the basing. The theme is the same because the rest is still the same basing, but it has something extra on the tufts and some little cork bits, which are rocks. And now for the Caradon, I went back to just Astrogranite, little corks, tufts, which I now put some ink on to like give some color shading. And yeah, that's basically the basing. So they all match. They all have the Steel Legion drab rim. It's okay. It's not the prettiest. I think the Fire Slayers have the prettiest basing, but because the rest of the model is boring, it's just skin, flesh, and orange hair. I've tried to give them where they have cloth like a dark green, because also my Magma Dragons are dark green, and that's also my theme then with the KO, where I just stole the Dark Angels theme, the ivory and dark green and black and red as spot colors, and there's a little connection between the dark green and the dark green from this KO army. Yeah, so they do match somehow a little bit.
Yeah. The reason I asked was because some ages ago, I was thinking about getting some Fire Slayers as allies. and I didn't in the end because I couldn't. I didn't feel like I could marry up the aesthetic very well with KO. And with my paint scheme, I felt like flesh color would just look completely different. And then
Yes, they do look completely different. Funny you ask, because I just recently played a game on Friday night where I had 20 Hearthguard Berserkers and a Runesmiter in Barrack Fring. Because we were playing a siege campaign, and I just needed someone to go into the castle and beat shit up, while the boats stand around and shoot people with drill cannons inside the garrisons. And it didn't look too bad. Yes, they look different because it's very bright and orange and flesh, but because the basing is similar, when you put them next to each other, it looks kind of uniform. It's okay. You can make it work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very. We got this one very metal army and this one very flesh army. You kind of have to. You'd have to convert one or the other to be a little bit more different to make it all kind of function.
Yeah.
I know. I think Fire Slayers with painting Fire Slayers, like making Fire Slayers with armor, would be really cool.
I've seen that somewhere where there's the Blood Bowl team from for the dwarves, and they also have some Slayers which have just a little armor, and they look really cool. And they work because they have like shoulder pads and gauntlets and stuff.
Yes, so something like that would look really cool together with KO. You could make like some Skyport militia basically to just be your ground forces. I don't know.
So I must say the Fire Slayers and the KO, they go better together, even though one is full armor and one is naked and bears, because the size is the same. A Thunderer is almost the same size as a Hearthguard Berserker. But if you put then you have the Ironbreaker, Iron Drake, or the Longbeard Hammer kit, and they're already smaller than this. And then if you take the old, which at the time was still the normal Dispossessed Warrior, they're the old Fantasy Clans warriors. They're like half the size of a Thunderer. Just looks silly because they're the same. And that's also why I disliked Fire Slayers in the beginning, because this guy, okay, subtract the hair because it's just a mohawk, but this guy is like is double the width, and he's 2 heads taller than this small Ironbreaker, and he's already like the newer sculpt. That's where it looks stupid. Like your Iron Drakes are just tiny little guys next to a Thunderer. They're like half the size.
The big old naked baby.
Yeah. So the dwarves, basically.
Yeah, they're like, the city dwarves. Like they don't get enough light and fresh air.
Cool. So the next question is where we want the channel to go.
Oh.
It can piss off.
Well, where do I want the channel to? I mean,
we can answer individually.
You're the Archnaut Admiral.
Yeah, I should have prepared for this.
Well, I can't wait for us to hit 1 million subscribers. Start going to conventions, all that thing. Do all the YouTube stuff.
I would. My goals are small. I would just like to be more organized. Because we seem to we'll go and do like 6 weeks in a row where we'll do a show every week, and then we'll probably go 2 months without doing a show. Which is time zones and life and stuff like that. It would be nice to be a bit more organized.
just being consistent would be good. We've got our audience. We've got the Facebook group and the Karen Overlord WhatsApp group. Like everyone who knows about us, who wants to watch us, watches us. I think we're going pretty well, honestly. I'm cool where we are as a YouTube channel. Yeah, we just should. It'd be cool to do consistent. I just have to keep waking up.
Will it be easier
time.
when the clocks change? Because yours will go forwards and ours will go back. So it'll be a lot easier. That'll be better. It'll be better then, because it'll be later for you, but it'll be earlier for us. So that'd be good.
Yeah.
Tyler was in the chat asking about battle reports. And I did think about doing battle reports in the past. I just haven't got around to it. That's the trouble. I have lots of ideas for the show that don't happen. I'd like to do some show. The reason that I originally spoke to you, Max, and wanted to get you on the show was because I wanted to do some shows about the meta and preparing for different types of armies. And I knew at the time, obviously, we were in lockdown, and I knew you've been playing on Tabletop Simulator a lot, and we're playing a lot of Seraphon. And then also we were getting the leaks about Lumineth, and me and you were both in the Lumineth chat as well, so I knew you knew about Lumineth. So I'd like to do some shows like that where we pick an enemy and we can talk about how to face them and that sort of thing.
That's great. Great idea.
Yeah. It's hard to do battle reports because I'm in Australia, Lee's in England, Max is in Germany.
Currently it's a bit difficult with traveling. I'd love to go down to Australia just for playing a game. I have to convince my wife, just a weekend. I'll be back on Monday.
just a quick hop over, No, if you ever do come around, I'll find a place to stay. Come to CanCon. Not next year because it's not running, but the year after that.
I'd love to. Maybe
come over.
Lee's closer for me to get there.
Maybe
when his government sorts this shit out and it's safe for me to travel there.
But I mean, you guys are half an hour flight, an hour. Europe is tiny.
It'll probably take me longer to get to the airport than the flight.
Yeah, I think London from here is 1.5 hours from Munich. I don't know. I've done it, but I can't remember. So yeah, it takes longer to get to the airport and then from the airport to probably wherever you are.
The closest big city to me is about 2 hours flights that way, or 8 hours in a car.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely closer, and everything's closer than that. I go to different countries to play tournaments, and it takes me 2 hours in a car to get there. To Austria or to Switzerland, it just takes an hour.
That's the next big city over Melbourne. That's just quick 8 hour car trip. It's easy. It's fine. It's fine.
So yes, I agree. Well, I mean, the channel is, as far as I know, the one that's really committed to Kharadron Overlords. And yes, currently we are good in the meta, and we have some tournament wins, and that was great to have people on the show and talk about their different lists, because it is different styles and lists they bring and have success with. To talk about how to tackle different armies, how to tackle battle plans, and we talked already about auxiliary objectives. They don't seem to be used that much, at least where I play. Some use them, some don't even bother. No. Mostly you take your free engine riggers are your bait, and they die, and cool, you get points. And then you just shoot their hero and you get another point. But yeah, I'd like that to to be like the one place to get your KO knowledge from.
Mhm.
I'm not saying we're the experts. Well, Kron is a certified expert because he won a tournament.
Yeah.
I've not done more than 2-1 yet
Mhm.
on 2 attempts, but I won 2 best painted. So, well, maybe if you want paint
Okay.
tips. But it's all due to the display. The secret is the display board. Because if you're the only one with a display board, you're gonna win that painting competition. So yeah, maybe that's the
We're not
place
experts,
to
but
get
we're
in.
loud.
Yeah.
We're loud and we pretend to know stuff. We collect
Mhm.
all the knowledge, and yeah,
I'd like to get some more guests on as well.
yes,
I do have someone that has offered to come and talk with us about fighting Nurgle. So
ooh, cool,
we'll maybe do that at some point.
that's great,
And he plays KO as well. So
awesome.
that would be
Is it Paul?
useful. No.
Because he plays both, I think.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, more organized shows. Maybe some battle reports after I move, maybe because yeah.
I mean,
Bit,
if
yeah.
people want to see
I've
a
got
battle
boxes around
report,
at the moment.
I did do one with Cinderfall Gaming, the guy who nominated us. On his channel, there's a Cloud Overlord versus Gloomspite Gitz battle report. So Cinderfall Gaming is more about the narrative stuff, but it's still good. We did the mission from the Cloud Overlord book. Prospect is down, 2,500 points. I used 2 ironclads, so that was interesting. Yeah,
It was good.
check that out if you want.
It was a good one. I enjoyed it.
Still have to watch it. I admit.
You're not meant to admit.
I know it exists, but I saw it's like 3 hours long. I was like, okay, yes,
Yeah,
I will consume this knowledge
Yeah.
at one point.
Well, that's the thing about battle plans is, not battle plans, battle reports, is how do you do them? Because different people have different ideas about what they should be. I quite like the way Doom and Darkness has done them in the past, where he's done 2 different ways. He's done like his ones where he just takes pictures and then he explains them, and he also does the ones where he films. But his are normally quite short, so it's not like watching a whole 3-hour game, which I've always found better. But I know when I spoke to some other people about it, they're like, "No, I want to see all the dice rolls and see everything."
some people like the mini wargaming style of things, kind of where you just show everything and you just kind of cut the pauses in between.
Although they also went away from that 3 hour to now like a 1 hour, 1.5 condensed thing. It depends what you want to do, what your aim is. If it's a fun narrative, like you want to have fun watching this, like the Rerolling One guys, they do a fantastic job. I enjoy just watching their battle ups because it's the fun. What's happening? It's not the best lists. It's not the best tactics. That's not the game. And I also like if you're more into competitive or tactics, what Caleb Hastings, I believe is the name, does. He's a Seraphon expert. Let's call him that. He has a YouTube channel, and what he does, he takes pictures. So he says, okay, I deployed, this is my list, this was his list, I deployed here, that's the deployment. Okay, first turn, we are here. This happens, I did this, he did this. Next picture. So he has like a slideshow of pictures and it takes half an hour. And it gives you an idea what his army is capable of, what he was trying to do, and what his enemy was trying to do. So that was that's the short version. It's less complicated to do as a content creator. Like, because you play, you say, okay, hold on, let's take a picture. Okay. Then you do your game as you would normally. But if you're filming it live, I think it takes double the time.
It took a very long time to film the battle report. Like it, because you basically need to you do your movement, then you just stop, put the camera back on, roll the dice, then go into like piling in. You take the camera off, you start piling in, then you stop, put the camera in, go right. I'm here doing this. roll dice. Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah. But I find I quite often try and take pictures when I play games anyway. And normally what happens is I take a picture of the deployment, maybe after movement turn 1, and then I just forget after that. And then it doesn't go any further. Like you get caught up in the game.
Yeah. I try to take pictures of deployment, but it's basically just my arm in a corner. So all the battle pictures look the same, and then you don't have time for it. You just play, and then that's it.
Yeah.
If there's a cool model on the board, you take a picture. But
yeah,
that's it. I just seen that there's a question from Tyler in the chat. What's my name in the Discord channel? I think is a question. I am on the Discord. My name is Evil Munich, small letters all together. But I'm not very active on the Discord because it's just another thing that I need to catch up with. I sometimes check, but I'm mostly active in the WhatsApp group. I check the Facebook, but it's the 100th time that someone asks what's the best loadout for engine riggers. Sorry, there is no one. Depends what you want to do with them.
On the Discord, are you on the AOS coach one as well? Or are you just on the Skyport?
No, I'm only on the Skyport, the Honest Wargamer, the one from my club, of course, and there is one for Hammer Time, the TTS tournament organized by Owen in UK. But I never actually played on TTS with people from there or took part in a tournament, but I just checked it out to see if it was interesting. And my friend who played a lot of Seraphon, he won the most recent Hammer Time, I think, is a tournament. He won it with his Seraphon, so he was on there.
I'm just going to pick something out. A couple of other things out from the chat. Tyler, your comment about to me where you say you don't want to hear that from champion, I don't actually know what that's referring to. So yeah, I don't know what it is. So, Tempest Eye show at some point it will happen.
We were planning to do this, yeah.
Yeah,
it's on the list.
There's a list of shows, and that's the trouble. Is people kept winning tournaments, so we had to keep interviewing them, and then
people need to stop being so good at playing KO. Jeez,
people stop. You're gonna get us nerfed, people. You're gonna get us nerfed at Christmas.
The points will go back up, and then we can.
Although I just read in the newest White Dwarf that the rules writer for AOS for the competitive, what's his name, Mr. Aguilar, I think. I don't remember the first name. He's collecting an KO army now.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Yeah. For no
that they will get some point reductions.
More reductions. Put the Warp Lightning Vortex down to 70.
It's
13-inch reach. It
so expensive.
So expensive. No
Ironclads will go back down to 380 because they reach.
Yeah. No.
FAQ that vent plates though, please.
Yeah.
But on like point of origin, wow, my screen is just horrible with the sun right now. I'm just fading out into the light.
It's like Back to the Future, and like you're just fading away because you change time.
That's just how I imagine that the light is in Australia. It's so bright.
Closer to the sun, I think.
Oh, it kills you like everything else over here. It's fine. Snakes and spiders and just octopuses, light, whatever. No, what I want to know is, so when I first met Lee, it was after CanCon, after they invited me to the Facebook page moderators group. And what I want to know is, how did you start that Facebook group? How did you meet like Hayden and everyone?
Well, when I first got into Warhammer and I picked KO, I didn't know anything about Warhammer. I just bought some models, so I was like, you're getting white
on a ghost.
So I did what I thought was the natural thing. Was I went on Facebook and looked for some groups. I found the Warhammer Age of Sigmar group. I joined that first, and found out that the first ever game I played, one of my mates was basically cheating because he wasn't using summoning points, and he was bringing back quick ghouls and going above the unit size and stuff like that, which doesn't even matter anymore because you don't have summoning points anymore. But and then I found the KO group and I joined that and found everyone was talking about what the best weapons for Thunderers were and stuff, and someone made spreadsheets, and I didn't know about WhatsApp and stuff. Obviously, I knew what WhatsApp was, but I didn't know about the WhatsApp group. I hadn't joined anything like TJ or anything, and I was just on there, and people were talking about KO all the time, which is cool. So I like KO, so I was just very active. And then Hayden noticed I was very active, and like doing a lot of things I don't do anymore, which I probably should, which is like answering people's questions and trying to be helpful to people. Which, I don't know, maybe because it was a novelty or something at the time. I probably should try and do more. So
you are very active on that group.
I'm not anymore. I used to be a lot.
Yes.
I should be more. So he said, "Oh, do you want to be an admin?" And so well, okay then. No, I'm not going to say no. I felt quite honoured at the time about it. And then shortly after that, Hayden actually left because he had real life problems and stuff. So he left, and there were some other admins, but I never really chatted to them or anything. I didn't know if they could have been doing something. I don't know. I was just doing my thing. It's a very laissez-faire sort of thing of, well, no one's killing each other, so it's fine.
Yeah, that group's been pretty chill just by itself. Like I don't think we've had many like big dramas.
No, there's
mass
never been any big
exoduses.
issues. And then and then Hayden come back and he's like, "Oh yeah, can I be an admin again?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I'm not going to say no because you made me an admin in the first place. And then he asked about whether the other admins did anything like that. I don't know. And he said, "Well, I don't think any of them were active." And we sort of had a look at the stats. You can look at like the stuff on Facebook and see what admin activity, and basically there was some that either weren't or they sort of were just, I don't know, they weren't really active. I don't think, and there were some people that had been made admins as like an honorary sort of thing because they were good at KO, but equally not active actually on Facebook, which we didn't think was necessarily the right thing. So we changed that, and then you won CanCon, and then we did the exact opposite thing. It's like, oh yeah, let's make it an admin because he's really good at KO.
And then I did nothing on the Facebook page again. Oh no.
So we started with the right intentions of like, well, we'll have people that are admins that are active and helpful and doing that sort of thing. And we recruited Dan as well because Dan was really active. And then Hayden come up with the idea of doing this, didn't he? So that's all his idea.
Was it Hayden? I thought it was you.
Well, it was Hayden sort of suggested it originally, and we all sort of said, "Oh yeah, that's really cool." And then that was kind of it for a while. And then I sort of was like, "Well, if we're going to do this, we actually need to do it. How do we do it?" And then it wasn't going to be a YouTube show; it was going to be a podcast. But the only way to actually do it without spending lots of money was to use Google Hangouts and stream it to YouTube, and then download it. So that's what we did.
So we don't actually know. Do we know who started that Facebook group? Was Hayden the original Facebooker, or was he just?
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Internet mysteries.
It's just probably someone like really annoyed that he started a group and then he made other people admins, and then they made other people admins, and then he got his admin removed. I don't know. There's meant to be like with the Age of Sigma fan network thing, there's meant to be where all these Facebook groups are linked. There's meant to be like a council of people, like with members from every group, but I don't know.
Well, that's kind of
Oh.
gone over to Cinderfall, hasn't it now?
Yeah, I don't really know. Because there's two different KO groups. Because there's the one he created as well.
Yeah.
This one.
But ours is bigger.
Yes. We have more people. Bigger is obviously better.
Also, they get classic content like this, like with disappearing admirals, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, and then we started the show, and I thought the idea of the show was quite cool because I had obviously in my search of like trying to figure out how to play the game and find out about how KO worked and what was good, I looked for content, and then I found there was a guy called the Sustainable Center that on YouTube that used to do shows. A lot of them were like while he was driving. Do you remember that was a thing for a little while? People were recording while they're driving.
Oh, that was
Sounds dangerous.
So yeah, he did it, and he was talking about KO a lot because he was building a KO army. So I subscribed to him and I was listening to him because I wanted to listen. That was my army, so I wanted to listen to that. And I would tune into stuff like Warhammer Weekly and other things. But sometimes I get a bit frustrated because Warhammer Weekly was quite good because Tom would obviously talk about KO quite a bit at the time back in 2017.
Yeah, back when he was positive.
Oh well, yeah, he's getting positive. He's positive again.
Okay.
Solves all his stuff, and now he's positive.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I thought you meant positive about KO, but as opposed
positive
to
about KO, yeah.
He's yeah, but it was a bit like if you want to hear about a certain subject matter in Warhammer content, it's not easy, is it? Unless you want to listen to people talk about KO, and then it's really easy because of that.
Yeah, it's a very niche thing. Already Age of Sigmar is not so popular as 40k. And then you're going on one of the 24 armies, is it now?
Yeah, it's not really
hard to find
specific content.
So you find content that's entry level or reviews or battle tomes. Oh,
you go to 2+ Tough if you want to get the lore.
Yeah.
Yes. Do that.
And if you're lucky enough, you'll find something where there's, I don't know, there's like people that do a show, but they also happen to play the army you do, so they will reference back to it a lot. So, for instance, like the Just Saying podcast, they will quite often reference KO at the moment because one of them is playing KO. But then if one of them stops playing KO, then they're stop again, and then you'll have to find another source. So I think I really like the fact that there is a source of content for KO players. I'd like it if there was, if maybe, I don't know, if we could inspire people to do it for other factions.
We could have the All Daughters of Cain podcast and the All Lumineth podcast.
Yeah.
No, let's not do a Lumineth podcast. No elf stuff, please.
It does look like Alex is already on the Lumineth podcast. There's so much light there.
Yeah, he's right in Highish. If you ever want to know where Highish is, it's in Australia.
It's in
Australia right now.
So yeah, I think it would be really cool if there was like somewhere.
Do you not like Lumineth, Max?
I don't like elves.
Oh,
you like them when they're dead?
But I'll let you into a secret. There might be two start Lumineth boxes in my basement somewhere.
Oh no!
Because when all those leaks came out, and they were mostly in German, and I might have translated all the stuff into a PDF in English. I'm not saying I did, GW, don't sue me, please.
Cannot
So
confirm or deny that
I
you
know
did.
I know there's a few people who did it. I compiled a PDF and I sent it to the WhatsApp chats, and I sent one to Rob from the Honest Wargamer. And so I read through all the rules, of course, and I thought, this is what dwarves should be. Super defensive. They have super cool synergies, but it's all defensive. It's not very offensive stuff. Yeah, there's some broken shit, but okay, that's techless. So
That's
that for my
interesting.
reading through it. So I thought, oh, there's the Stone Guard and the stance and the phalanx and whatnot and the bravery shrug off and so on. I thought this is a really cool mechanic. I'm not a friend of the aesthetics, not of all of them. Dawn Riders, they look cool. The Spearmen look cool. The cows, nah. With the whole huge cricket hammers and Stone Guard with the cow helmet. But yeah, I've seen some conversions. They look cool. They're okay. So I thought, well, let's grab this box and maybe one day I'll build it.
I have to pick your brain about Lumineth sometime, because I just played some games with my we did a hobby day and my friend came over with his new Lumineth that he's just built up. He tried doing some things with them, but like he couldn't find really what they're supposed to be good at. So he ran Techless, but Techless just died the moment some skinks looked at him. 20 witch elves, not witch elves, 20 of the snake elves, the snake ladies, basically just ate through his entire line of spearmen in another game. So, like, what makes them tough?
So I'm not a Lumineth expert. I follow the Lumineth chat, and there's people in there who definitely know much more and have played the army and tested it. So I recommend for everyone who's watching, who's interested in Lumineth, to join the WhatsApp, because that's where the good players are, and they post their lists and they help. And I think consensus is that 2 cows on Stone Guards are a very strong list in the Emetrica faction, which gives they ignore up to 2 rend, and then they're very defensive. Some people argue that Techless is a trap, that he's a point sink, that you don't need him, but I've seen him being used very well and to great effect. I think we need to wait for some tournaments to really have Lumineth results and see what works, what does not work against what. They seem to be very strong. I had not a discussion, some exchange in the Lumineth chat today about how to play KO, because they were asking, yeah, I'm playing KO in my meta. What do I need to look at? Should I play Techless or not? I said, stupid as I was, don't put Techless, because 20 funders are just going to get rid of him. And then I think it's Peter. He's a very good unknown player. He said, well, and then we have the Valinor, the named cow, and he's very strong, and he ignores, I don't know, 2 rend and minus 2 hit aura and all that stuff. And I think, okay, maybe they're not so easy to shift. And also the Stone Guard, they have the normal goods. They have two wounds, ignore up to 2 rend if they're in their special mountain stance. So they're not as easy to shoot. And if you go in, try to kill them first turn, so you take first turn because you want to kill them before they get all the buffs, and then you get double turned by them. Ooh, not pretty. They can swing a hammer like a dwarf, almost like a dwarf. So yeah, it'll be interesting to figure out how to play Lumineth. Maybe bring a Gargant. Maybe we need a Gargant.
It seems like they're gonna be they're gonna come on the meta, but they're not gonna be like Zench or OBR and just be like, and broke.
No, I think they're a bit like KO. They're difficult to play well. I'm gonna just say.
I think there's going to be potentially a couple of different lists. I don't think there's going to be one Lumineth list, because I think they've got builds. They've got like this. They have got some spammy builds where they could just put, I don't know, like 80 or 40 or however many it is, Sentinels on the table and just delete 1 unit a turn. But I think a lot of players aren't going to play that. Luckily, hopefully, 'cause it's boring.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's-
also lists just cavalry and tech lists, which can be strong. I don't know. They also like the foot people. They struggle because they're also slow. I think their movement, the Stone Guard are movement 4 or 5. Elves have movement 6. They're not super fast.
Yeah. And they lose their blasts when they move as well.
Yeah, they want to stay in a little bubble defensive castle. So the objective play will be interesting. You definitely will always see maybe 5 riders, horsemen, because they're the fast unit. They can capture objectives. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see this new what they bring to the table.
They've got some interesting tech with some of their spells. With like the one where they could do double the movement. And if you put that on Dawn Riders,
yeah, speed of highish, I think it's called. Yeah, the Dawn Riders can cast it on themselves, and they get double movement and then charge.
So they move 28 inches, which is a lot.
Yeah,
that's fast.
And they there's the thing where their Sadness Wizard can kind of cast a thing where you have to pass a leadership check to move or shoot or charge or do anything. And our boat's only Bravery 8, I think, at highest with the Ironclad.
Ironclad is 8, yes.
So, I mean, there's a chance we could you can just shut the Ironclad down a couple turns.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not looked into the book since I translated it. Basically, yeah, we'll see what comes up. But that's the nice thing about AOS. There's constant new stuff that we need to buy and play, but it's constant new stuff that we need to wrap our heads around. Okay, how do we play against this army? Then now the vampire elves will come next year. Who knows what would they bring? Oh, Gargants. As an army, maybe who knows what they do, but what do they do as an ally? Okay, now we have this super cool Beast of Chaos with 2 Gargant build because somehow they can bring 2, and it's just the shit because there's nothing you can do about it.
It's kind of Gotrek 2.0, isn't it? Because in fact, it's like the polar opposite, because it was a dwarf that could go in every army, now there's a giant that can go in every army. Or they're going to get slightly different versions.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited for Gargants, just as a hobby project, to convert one into a Slayer, a giant Slayer.
Actually, KO could totally run Gotrek and a Gargant at the same time.
No, because Gotrek can only... yes.
Gotrek's a dwarf, isn't he? He can be one in 4.
Do you get enough units? Because you need one army, you need...
So you need 3 Khazad Overlord units, 1 Gotrek, and 1 Gargant.
No, you just need 2 KO units.
2 KO
1 in 4. 2 KO units.
Yeah.
Wait,
1 in 4.
No, but Gotrek can't be a general, can he? Or can he?
No.
So
you'd have to have an admiral. You'd have like an admiral, 3 units of Arcanauts. 1 admiral, 3 units of Arcanauts, Gotrek and Gargant.
And a gun hauler with compartments to fly the admiral around.
Yeah, unfortunately can't fly.
Hit this, hit that.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe the Gargant will have a rule like he can, because he is above the 400 points. He can only be the only ally.
Probably.
And then Gotrek, KO maybe.
Because Gotrek isn't an ally. He's
he's a Dwarden. Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I think Gotrek is more a fun build. And in Seraphon he works in some skink builds, but for KO he's just a 4-inch move little guy who jumps around and.
Well, the thing with KO is you can move your force wherever you need it, and then you'll have 500 points that you can't. So.
Yeah, just get an ironclad and 10 free Ephraimings.
Perfect.
But
so
that's why he will come here.
Successfully, we drifted off the topic.
Yes, maybe that should be one of the things that we want from the show, is we won't veer off topic so much.
No, that's why people love us. That's our thing.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I would like to try and keep the shows to, I don't know what time scale, but a time scale, because they vary a lot from like 1.5 hour shows to 3 hour shows. And I know we've had comments in the past from people saying, like, "Can you do shorter shows?" Which means we probably just have to do more of them.
Yeah.
I think that's possible, but the trouble is when I plan a show, I was like, well, yeah, we talk about this and this and this, because they make sense to talk about, and then we probably bite off more than we can chew if we want to go in detail with them.
Yeah, I mean, we're just wargamers. We talk about hobby and we get carried away.
Yep.
Well, and it's the other thing about the way other shows operate, and I say other shows, it's not all shows, but there's a lot of shows that they will do their one show on a subject matter and they'll cover everything, which is great as in like an intro. And I feel like the niche we need to kind of hit is the more detailed version, the next step. So you'll go and you'll watch you'll go and watch Man Reads Book first of all, or the review shows for Battletone, or like something like AOS Coach will do a show that's like a primer.
The Cagnon deep dives, yeah.
Yeah, you'll go and watch something like that,
great.
where it gives you an eye, and then you'll start building your force, and hopefully you'll come across us. And if you want to know about certain subjects or just keep hearing about KO, you'll hear about things in more detail rather than just the same things just being said by a different person.
These are the allegiance abilities. This is Ether Gold.
Yeah. So,
we're here to tell you what to do with those allegiance abilities in that Ether Gold.
How to play. So now you have an idea what units you want. Maybe you have seen Michael from Doom and Darkness. He did some recaps or look back at battle tomes, and he talks to people on their lists specifically. And I enjoy those shows because it's a list and people explain what's the idea in the list and how it works. So maybe you have an idea for a list or two, and now we tell you what to do with the list, how to play the mission, how to play the opponent.
Yeah, I think it's like I'd like to deep dive into specific subjects, but I don't know. Maybe we even then they're too broad. Like, say, I want to do a show about allies at some point, and Tyler mentioned it in the chat about what about Tempest Eye, and I thought, well, we'll do a show that's about allies, Tempest Eye, and Fring all as one show because they're kind of related. But actually, I think if we did, it would end up being
that's going to be a 3-hour.
Whereas maybe it'd be better just do allies, just do Tempest Eye, and just do Fring. But then the problem is if we then take a month or a month and a half where we don't do a show because of scheduling, that we haven't actually talked about any of those things. Is the issue. I don't know. Yeah, I want to talk about things in detail. I'd like to do a show about In the Spell. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot more than just Warp Lightning Vortex, and I think the end of the show will be a Warp Lightning Vortex, probably still the best. But there's
Warp Lightning Vortex is best. But if you're willing to not take the best, there are a couple of options.
Yeah, or if you want to explore some different content, there are other things you can do with it. So I don't know. I think if you're in the chat or if you're watching the show later and you want to leave a comment, tell us what you want from Aethercast.
Why do you actually comment? Why do you listen to us waffle on for this long? How are we still getting 500 people watching this stuff? I don't understand it.
No.
People get lost in the depths of YouTube.
Yeah. Or do you just want us to just sit and talk about our recent games and what we're thinking about for our lists? Like, is that what people want? I don't know. Or do they want structured, like, they're going to talk about allies, or do they just want to hear our thoughts on, we were doing this in our list, and now we're doing this, and we're thinking about changing it to this?
So, do you listen to the show while painting? So it's more of a background information. So you don't need to watch the screen. What is the list? What's in there? So like a podcast, it's running and we talk. Or is it detailed deployment zones and movement and here. So you need to actively follow what's happening. Because the deployment zones and battle plans will be a tough one for a podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be something you have to watch. We can try and describe things, but
yeah, but there's a limit to how descriptive we can be. Yeah, leave comments.
And I do want to get some dice made. That's the other thing. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, yes, I was about to say this. We need merch. Merchandise.
Dice, t-shirts, and
a white
Thunder
t-shirt.
Up and Down Under.
A white t-shirt that says
Like
Alex Cron used to be here, and it's just a white t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because he's faded
Waking
out.
up. Time zones. Different time zones.
No, have it upside down, because you know.
Oh yeah, dice would be awesome. Because you have a super cool logo, the Admiral with the headset.
Yeah.
I'd probably spend money on those.
And you made that lead, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Skills.
Like a graphic designer.
Yeah, I don't know. Do people want us to do Patreon stuff and that? I don't know what. I was chatting to a mate of mine who's just gone full time on his podcast, which is about philosophy, which I didn't know you could get that popular talking about philosophy. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't like paying for those sorts of things on other people's shows. I'm a freeloader, I'm afraid.
I don't think I'm not subscribed to a single Patreon.
No.
And so I've always wanted to keep this free for people.
Yeah.
Because I like free content myself, and I'm not doing this to try and make money. So
no, I mean it's not like the Discord chat. The Discord isn't like a Patreon exclusive Discord. It's the Carnolo Discord. You can all go to it. It's just out there.
We're not enough people that we can make it exclusive. There's not enough of us. We're all one big group.
Well, speaking of the Discord, they are Alexander Sluky is the guy who started it, the KO one. He has started doing a thing every Monday night, about 7:30 UK time, a thing called the Geldrad, where it's just like a chat about KO. You can just, obviously, if loads of people try to join, like 50 people, it'd be like, well, we can't do this. But the last few times, it's been like 3 or 4 people just chatting.
That's cool.
If you want to talk about KO on a Monday night, that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Go do this thing.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys want from the channel?
I thought about this because I've seen it also in Discord and on Facebook. There's so many awesome armies out there, like hobby-wise, painting-wise. I don't know if we want to do this to do like to show off, to be a little platform, do a show, half an hour where we show these amazing artworks of people of their ironclads and with tentacles of monsters beneath and whatnot I've seen. Just give them a little platform and a shout out because they're amazing stuff. Little army showcases. We're not gonna rate them. We're gonna prize them, but we're just gonna say
like a look
cool
at this
hobby,
cool thing.
Cool hobby, awesome. Get some inspiration.
Yeah.
Look at these Arcanauts with Mechanicus heads.
Yeah. Or maybe like an inspiration, a place you can come just for inspiration.
Yeah, maybe it's a one-off thing, but I thought of this. Maybe it'd be a cool thing. Because when I go to tournaments, there's so many pretty armies there. And so much hobby time, and mostly it's for your own. You see it on your shelf. We have the internet, we have the means. Let's show it.
Yeah.
Just KO stuff, no elves.
No. Wow.
No Teklas. Although I've seen a nice conversion of him, and he actually looks decent now. With a different pose. Just need to cover his face.
Yeah, Teclis is he's Teclis himself. His Griffin's nice, but the guy himself is like, eh.
But the head of that thing is also a bit. The mask is a bit. I don't know. Just get a Free Guild General Griffin, stick an alpha in it, and be done with it.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what the next question was. Oh, the last question was, do we have any advice for new wargaming YouTubers?
So I don't consider myself a YouTuber, so you two answer this. I'm just a guest here. Thank you for having me.
I don't know if we.
Go.
Oh, I mean, absolute pleasure, but no, I don't know if we're if we're proper YouTubers, but like just find a niche, find something you're passionate about, and that you're good at. You're good. Well, don't even have to be good at it. Just be passionate about it. Find a niche, and be consistent in your uploads. You know, don't do what we're doing. Just like release a video on a schedule so people know, like, okay, I'm going to come here first Monday of the month and I'm going to see a video. People like that.
Yeah, and just actually do it. Don't spend lots of time thinking, oh yeah, I'd like to do that, but then don't get around to it. Just make a decision, I'm going to do it. And then it's like, say if there's a group of you, like you can use StreamYard, it's free, it's easy to do it. If it's just you on your own, then I think you can just literally go on YouTube and click broadcast or go live or something. Or, you know, if you don't want to go live, then pre-record it and edit out all the swearing and mistakes and stuff. If you want to go to all that effort, but just, you know, don't worry about, oh, I've got to get a really fancy mic and a really fancy camera. Just go out and do it, and then you can get that stuff later if it goes well.
You can upgrade your tech later.
Yeah.
Or just do what we did and don't upgrade your tech and just keep going. It's fine.
Yeah, and turn up the sun to 1 million.
People love our audio quality.
Yeah. Maybe one tip as a prior viewer of this channel, it helps to have a face to the voice, because before you did it without video, I think it's much more appealing. I'm not saying you're pretty guys, but it's much more appealing to have a face to that's talking to you.
Yeah, and I know. We do need to get. I do want to get better audio for this channel. I should get I want to get a condenser mic, because I know I stalk on TGA, the Grand Alliance forum sometimes, and occasionally in their KO chat we come up, but it's like a lot of responses are, yeah, but I don't really like listening to them because their mics are so bad, and I'm like, yeah, I should get on that.
I have a sneaking suspicion that with my birthday next week, I might be getting on the microphone. I think.
Nice.
I don't know. I suspect.
Nice.
Who knows?
That'd be cool. Yeah, I should really get. They're not that expensive. You can get cheap, functional condenser mics that sound better than rip off Apple earphone.
Yeah.
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 We'll work on the audio quality. We will. And we'll have faces.
Join our Patreon to pay for those mics.
We'll start a GoFundMe. Make the Aethercast legible.
I guess the only other advice is probably not advice, but more of a challenge is someone go make an Iron Jaws or a Flesh Eater Course or whatever. Pick a faction and make a channel for it, because I think that'd be cool. And if you're not sure about doing it, you can use. We've got to nominate 3 people to do this I Am a Wargamer challenge. So I'm going to be cheeky and make it 4, because we've already decided who we're going to do. My 4 challenge is anyone that's thinking about doing a faction specific show, make your first show the I Am a Wargamer one, and then you haven't got to do any thinking because you can just talk about how you got into the hobby, and then the rest of the discussion will just naturally evolve. So you haven't got to plan a fancy show or whatever. You can just do the I Am a Wargamer challenge as your first show. Done. Easy.
Yeah.
We've got your content is created for you. We've done it.
We're doing all the hard work for you here. You just gotta get a camera and talk into it. You got a phone, just do it.
There'll be
I'm Wargamer. I started orcs because they look beefy,
Orcish.
and I like the war pigs, battle cabbages. I don't know what orc players like. I don't
know. There'll be 6 Lumineth channels like next week. There won't be, because the only people that watch this show are people that like KO. But if KO is your second army and you've listened to us for an hour and 40 minutes not talk about KO, or maybe a little bit we talked about KO, but just rabbiting on, then maybe you'll hear this challenge and do it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like Lumineth because elves are my jam.
Get that Fire Slayer chat going, that YouTube channel. I'll join you as a guest.
Yeah. Well, this should be what's his name?
I'll join your Daughters of Cain channel. Don't know if I can say much to it, but I like the harpies and the snakes.
Kenny, that's his name, Kenny Lowe. He should do the Fire Slayers one. He's the granddaddy of Fire Slayers, isn't he? That's
the name is familiar, yes.
Yeah. He should do it.
Yeah, do it.
I've never spoken to him. I'm assuming he's...
Kenny, you're up. Okay. Do it.
You're up. Go on.
That's it.
I don't think we've got any other advice, have we? Because we're not very professional at this. But should we do our nominations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are they? The first one, the first channel we're going to nominate to do the I'm a Wargamer challenge is AOS Geeks. If you've seen Alex Thibodeau, or also goes by Adeptus Dices, on here before, and you liked listening to him and you speak French, then go and try out their channel. All the content is in French, so if you don't speak French, then maybe
learn French.
Maybe it's not one for you, or learn French. But yeah, their new channel, they've been putting out lots of content recently. I don't know if it's any good because it's French, but it's got him on it, and he knows about KO. He knows his stuff. So at least the KO content on there will be good. And I think they're all based in Canada, so I don't think we hear about the Canadian meta much. There's a lot of shows in the US and a lot of podcasts and stuff in the UK and stuff in Australia and New Zealand, but I don't think we hear much about Canada, so it'd be good for people to check that out. And even if you don't speak French, there is one video where it's just footage of really cool looking armies from a tournament they had recently.
Oh yeah.
So you can watch that. Everyone can. Yep. It doesn't matter what language. I don't think there's even any speaking in that one.
There's also amazing KO armies on that show.
Yeah.
Check it out. Looks awesome.
So yeah, AOS Geeks, you are challenged. That sounds wrong. That sounds like they're like mentally challenged. They're not mentally. They're not. They are. Yeah. Oh dear. That's going to get some comments.
Yeah.
Complaints.
It's not very PC of you there.
No, it's the phrasing didn't sound right. It's what I meant. Someone else challenged someone. Who else were we going to challenge?
So, if I understand this correctly, we need to challenge someone we actually know.
I think so.
No. Since I don't know any YouTubers, I challenge God damn it, Gary Percival, start a YouTube rant show, whatever. Tell us why Arcanauts are shit, and then tell us how you became a wargamer and why you are the wargamer you are today.
Yeah. Or finally come on here. You said you would ages ago.
Yes. Either be here or do your own show.
Yeah. Or go talk about KO on another show. But people want to hear what he thinks, and I want to hear what he thinks. So
he's great.
I don't care what show he does it on, as long as I get to listen to it. Really. So
rant about everything.
No, one of the first things I ever listened to was, well, not one of the first things I ever listened to, like ever, because that probably was my mum or like a nurse or whatever. But was like KO related was Gary did a show with AOS Shorts about his masterclass series. So yeah, I definitely know that Gary knows his stuff. So yeah, we want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, we do. Do it, Gary.
Another channel we can challenge is the Mitzy and Jimbo show. I spoke earlier about how I got into KO, and they might not realise it, but my third ever game was against them in doubles.
Ah.
So yeah, they were like one of my introductions into, and my first tournament experience actually, because that was a tournament. My first ever tournament game was against them, and they do a cool channel. They have some nice hobby stuff on there as well, and they drink beer and talk about beer, which I drink. I just drink beer and talk about other stuff. They actually talk about the beer. They do like a whole segment, or they used to. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to a segment called the Hop Hoedown where they try new beer. So that'd be cool. Yeah. So I guess we've got after. They probably don't watch the show, so I have to message them and say, and AOS Geeks and say,
you have been challenged.
And yeah. Cool. Guess that's it then. Guess we should thank Cinderfall for nominating us.
Yep.
Yeah. Check him out on Twitter. He's got his Dad Hammer, I think, or Cinderfall Gaming. He's on Facebook. He's on Twitter. He's on YouTube. He's doing Black Library reviews at the moment. It's a very narrative focused channel. So if you're really interested in the lore of AOS, you should go there. He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, cool stuff. And there's definitely at least one very good KO battle report.
I mean that's the highlight of the whole channel, obviously.
Although spoiler, Alex cheats on the.
I do. I move the boat and then I get into it after it's moved.
Ooh, rookie mistake.
Like a cheater. It's just you just don't. You just like I've never gotten back into one, so I was like, it's a garrison. I'll just read the garrison rules. All right, you just have to be wholly within 6. So I'll just move the boat. Oh look, I'm wholly within 6. I'm gonna move into the boat. It's fine.
You're so fast.
Oh dear.
But it was narrative.
It was. So okay. It doesn't count. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, I guess that's it for the show then. Unless any of you guys got anything you want to add?
No. I'm gonna head off. Going to a Star Wars Legion event. Not talking about Warhammer, but gonna take out some ARC troopers and some clone troopers and Padme, and we're gonna do some bullshit Overwatch shenanigans that I've just figured out they can do.
Cool.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it does sound fun. Playing games is always fun, whether it's Warhammer or not.
Oh, nice.
AAT.
Cool. Weaving Turret as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Next time. Yeah, if you like the show, like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe.
The show
watch this space for future
Yeah.
episodes on everything KO related.
The shows aren't massively well organised, but they're normally a bit more organised than this one was, which was quite rambling. But there we go. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for anyone that watched. Thank you. Tyler, War Machine, and Rocco in the chat. And yeah, thank you guys as well.
And thanks for coming, Max.
Yeah, thanks for having me again for the 6th time, I think now.
Yeah, basically.
You're a regular feature now.
Yeah, I'm like a guest that's not leaving.
Feet are well and truly under the carpet, the Aether carpet. Cool. Right, well, see you everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.